Casey Stern, a good friend of mine, has a podcast called Unfiltered with Casey Stern. You can find it on Believe and wherever else you listen to podcasts. And Casey Stern joining me now. And thanks so much for being with us. I want to talk about this Unfiltered podcast for a moment because there's something so freeing, Casey, about being unfiltered. How did this get going? And tell me more about it. What can we expect to hear?
Well, I think to your point, and hi, Alanna, thanks for having me. To your point, the idea of this industry would be that we all tell the truth. It's what we want from players. We always get it from players guarded. In fact, when they tell us the truth, we're normally not happy about it. I think in our industry, it's kind of the same way. So for me, I want to, especially with guests, kind of dig deeper than, tell me how you felt after the win last night and get more of the unfiltered anecdotes and stories so you can kind of get to know. I feel like it's part of what's great about social media is we follow folks because we want to get to know them better. So I think that's number one from a guest side. The second thing is being able to put something together where I can kind of impact it on my own and be able to be the voice of the fan. We're all diehard fans. We put on these professional hats and suits and ties and grab microphones. But at the end of the day, we know what it feels like to have the thrill of victory, and we know what it feels like to go to the water cooler if you're over 21, the bar, and sit there and drink away our sorrows. I want people to know that it's okay to be that passionate, and certainly I'm not shy. So that's what we're bringing to the table, and I've had a lot of fun with it so far.
You can find him at Casey Stern on social media. Again, it's Unfiltered with Casey Stern. And Casey, you said it best. Prospects are cool, parades are cooler. So Juan Soto, let's discuss this. You would give up your entire farm, your house, your community, your car, everything you possibly have to get Juan Soto on your team, would you not?
Yeah, everything except the kids. You can have it all. And I think a couple of things at play here, right, Alanna? And this is what makes it different. Because everybody wants to go and say, oh, I want Juan Soto, but here are the prospects I'm not going to give. If you understand the value of Juan Soto, you understand, while there's no guarantees for health the rest of his career, he's a Hall of Fame talent. We know that already. To get a Hall of Fame talent, you can't be the person who says, hey, I really want your, great, huge HD television that's 85 inches. I have this little kitchen standard TV that I watched back in 1985 with an antenna. You can't do that. Prospects are about the future, but if you don't care about now and you have a chance to win and push the pedal down, what's the point? All we hear about, speaking of unfilters, are owners who say to their fans, hey, we want to win. They make the managers stand there and manage a team. Think about the years of the Pirates, Andrew McCutchen, perennial MVP candidate. They were never willing to rent because they're not in that market. But the Kansas City Royals, without Madison Bumgarner, would have won back-to-back World Series, rented Ben Zobrist, rented Johnny Cueto. It's not a market-sized issue. It's an issue of how much do these teams really want to win, and you have to push the pedal down if you have a chance to do so.
And your team, the beloved Mets, of course, is under an ownership group now headed by a man that has plenty of money and deep pockets. So tell me what it's been like as a fan to have a new era in Met baseball, knowing that Steve Cohen legitimately wants to win, but he's also spending the money to do so.
I was saying to somebody earlier today, the idea, Alanna, of even saying out loud, well, of all the teams I root for, the one I trust the most is the Mets. Is like, it's like I should be in even more therapy than I'm in. It would have saved me seemingly like hundreds of thousands of dollars of therapy this team has put me in over the years. It's amazing to root for a team when you know what the plan is. I always put it this way to dumb it down for all of us, the human element. We always talk about, like in COVID, how many relationships ended. Nothing ended relationships more than Google Maps and MapQuest. For anybody who was either driving or in a passenger seat, when you had no idea what it even said, where's the roundabout? The GPS, though, even if it's 3 hours away and you're in traffic, think about this. When you're in a car, how much more satisfying is it? I'm 2 hours and 54 minutes away, 2 hours and 41. There's been no GPS for the Mets, who have no idea what the team's going to do except find a way to suck somehow. So for me to have the confidence is pretty amazing. And I'll just say this lastly. The fact that Jacob deGrom, think about this, that we're talking about him as icing on the cake, a team that's got the best ERA since Scherzer returned over their last 20 games of anybody in baseball for starters, that we're saying, hey, even if deGrom doesn't do anything and isn't healthy while our fingers and toesies are crossed, they're one of the favorites. That in itself is remarkable if you're covering this team or following it over the years.
Yeah, and Buck Showalter said he does think that Jacob deGrom's next start could be in the majors. He could come back Monday or Tuesday. That would be against the Braves. Be honest, though, this is a Met team last year, Casey, that basically led wire to wire until the beginning of August, and then things went downhill. How nervous are you that the Atlanta Braves continue to creep up in that NL East?
Lana, I watched Mr. Met give the finger to a fan base. There were sex toys in the background in the clubhouse. Luis Castillo drop a pop-up to lose to the Yankees, and we're still paying Bobby Bonilla more money than most of us will ever make in our life. So if I'm not nervous, then I'm an idiot, right? Like, let's be honest. So I think beyond all of that, the nerves that you have, I think, if you're sitting on the Mets side, is where they can get exposed right now. And even though they need to improve the offense, and I think they will, whether it's a Trey Mancini or some type like that where they look like a bat, even if they don't get a Wilson Contreras, a former New Yorker in terms of on the Yankee side and David Robertson, to me, has to be the number one goal. And I think they need two back-end arms, especially now with the injury to Drew Smith. This is a team that got exposed, even in the Subway Series, having to throw and get cutesy David Peterson in, where he gives up a two-run shot to Gleyber Torres. Edwin Diaz has been brilliant. But what you don't want to do is it become a team that you covered. And so, look, the Dodgers, Don Mattingly might still manage the team if they had any kind of bridge at any point between at the end of Kenley Jansen at the beginning of Clayton Kershaw. Most of those games, Clayton got crushed in the postseason. He was out there too long because there was no one else to trust. Right now, the Mets kind of have some of that, don't they? You trust the starters. Diaz is brilliant. What the heck is in the middle? They need something in the middle of that sandwich if they're really going to make a run in October.
Yeah, you're not bitter at all, though. And by the way, I made a mistake. Jacob deGrom would be facing the Nationals next weekend. I apologize. He would be facing the Braves. Casey Stern, Unfiltered, at Casey Stern is where you can find him. Thanks so much for being with us, and best of luck to you and your Mets for all of our sakes.